Hello and welcome, Amudar Pratap Singh. You're joining us on a brand new interview as part of our NewsX A-List series. We have today a very special guest. Sunjay Kapur is joining us, chairman of Sona Comstar. He's also vice president of ACMA and co-chair CII Manufacturing Council and chairman of the CII Haryana State Council. Sunjay Kapur, welcome to NewsX. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
My first question to you is, on this very challenging year, how have the last few months really been like for your group amidst this absolutely unprecedented pandemic?
So we've seen great opportunities in this very big challenge. People had written off any kind of opportunities when we went into this March and April being zero revenue months, something that none of us had ever prepared for. You prepare for a lot of different scenarios in terms of a reduction in sales, and other kind of scenarios. However, nobody ever prepares for zero revenue whilst we still incur expenses. So definitely, when we went into this, I don't think any of us saw the kind of opportunities that would come along with it. The opportunities have been great in terms of, when you look at localization, when you look at Atmanirbhar Bharat, when you look at the opportunities to move supply chain out of high-risk countries or high-risk situations where you can, in the future fall into these kind of pandemics or situations which you can't sort of really predict. For us as a business, we've seen a V-shaped recovery in the automotive industry, which has been phenomenal. Our business was 50% domestic and 50% export. It's moved to 80% export, which again has given us great growth opportunities. We're supplying United States is one of our biggest markets today in terms of supply. We're not only supplying to the ICE, we're also supplying to electric vehicles where we're seeing great opportunities and great growth opportunities. We've also, in this pandemic, been able to develop new products. And our aim really in our business is to continuously develop products and see how we can increase market share with our existing customers and new customers. To that effect, we have, got into the two-wheeler space, which we've never been in. Mm-hmm. So, traditionally we've been in farm equipment, we've been in off-highway vehicle, we've been in passenger car, we've been in commercial vehicles, light and heavy, and now we're in two-wheelers as well. So, and we're doing electric two-wheelers. So, it's been a great, opportunity for us, and I see a lot of positivity that's come out of this pandemic. Going into this pandemic, we looked at 2008, 2009. We made a lot of comparisons to 2008, 2009, the financial crisis, and I'm happy to say that we saw hardly any bankruptcies, and therefore that gives me the belief that businesses are better run, better managed, more robust. Fewer, companies are sitting on large debt, which is definitely a positive sign. So it's been a good recovery.
Okay, I'll get to the electric sector in just a second. But if we talk about the auto sector, what does the outlook really look like ahead? There has been a recovery, V-shaped recovery, as you just said. But the big question is this just pent up demand, or will it be sustained, in your opinion? And what's the outlook looking like ahead?
So, that's a great question, Uday, and it's anybody's guess at this point in time. There are four things that are driving demand. One was pent-up demand, as you mentioned. The other is rural demand, which is very strong, and you can see that in the tractor sales have really gone through the roof. And rural demand is helping the rest of the automotive industry as well. Then you've got the festive demand, which we just came out of. And the final thing that's pushing demand is social distancing. So we're seeing more people afraid to travel in public transport, in methods of public transport and buy their own vehicles. And we've seen that impact small car sales as well as two-wheelers. So, I feel that this demand will sustain. We're now slowly seeing an increase in heavy commercial vehicles, which again is a good sign. Light commercial vehicles are doing well because of e-commerce, because of all the deliveries, etc. So I feel that it is sustainable. We've seen strong growth even in November, compared to last year in November. Several companies will see higher sales, if not, if they don't match their sales of last year, they'll see higher sales in this financial year, which is again a very positive sign.
Okay. And for the electric vehicle sector, because that's a sector also that you have diversified in, is there a lot of scope, particularly in India? And we have seen currently the government, both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and, of course, his union ministers, Nirmala Sitharaman and Nitin Gadkari, often talk about the government's ambitious plans for the electric vehicle sector. They've, talked about climate change, environment quite often. It is obviously a priority for the government. So do you see a lot of scope in this particular sector?
So, I see that, I must say that there has to be an ecosystem built around EV. I definitely see electric vehicles increasing. In India, it may take a little longer, and that little longer doesn't mean a long term. It's in the short term, we are going to see an increase in EV. In the West, we're seeing it already with the Paris Accord and the climate change requirements in Europe. By 2023, most countries will see a large population of electric vehicles. In India, we'll see it begin in the two-wheeler space. Again, charging is easier in that space. Charging infrastructure needs to be built. Battery management needs to be understood better. Standards need to be created. And, all that is happening in parallel. And you're right, the government is very keen to push electric vehicles, and the industry is geared up to meet the requirement for EV. And that's really would have been the challenge. But now the challenge remains to see how we can look at infrastructure and the ecosystem around EV.
Okay. A wider question now, since you are also, of course, the co-chair of the CII Manufacturing Council, the opportunities for India, particularly in the manufacturing sector. Obviously this year has been very challenging, but as they say, in every adversity, there is opportunity as well. So do you believe there is opportunity, particularly for manufacturing sector? There is opportunity for, supply chains to be changed around. Obviously, with this anti-China narrative across the world, there is scope for, countries abroad and companies abroad to do business in India, shift their supply chains here. So how do you really see this big opportunity, and how should it be cashed in?
So this is a global opportunity, and everybody is vying for this business. Whether it be Vietnam, Thailand, Mexico, everybody wants this business. India as well. We are well positioned to attract a lot of the business. I think from a private sector perspective, we must invest in technology. You can have all the great ease of doing business and great pricing, etc. But if you do not have technology, business is not going to come. So it's not as easy as it seems. People seem to think, let's move out of China. It's not easy to shut down supply chain from China and move out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of investment required. There's a lot of investment technology required. Case in point, electronics. We have a large import content for electronics across the board, not just in automotive, but in every industry. To localize electronics is going to require investments in technology. The government is working with 24 different sectors to create export champions, which is a great initiative. And it's a great starting point in terms of, creating that manufacturing base and then manufacturing hub in India. I think we're well positioned to do that. I feel that we're going to have to work from private sector side in adopting technologies, not just in tier 1, but in the tier 2 and tier 3 supply chain as well. And once we do that, we'll be able to, attract more business, localize more, and reduce our dependency on supply chains from outside of India. Today, in the auto component industry, we're a net importer. The aim is to become a net exporter. So how do we get there? And we can only get there if we continuously deploy technology in the right space.
Okay. And, if we talk about Sona and Sona Comstar over the years, you have, of course, proven size and diversification. What's been the guiding vision for the company? What's your vision for the group ahead?
So, 5 years ago, what kept me up at night was what's going to happen when the EV becomes big. Are we going to be relevant or not? And I'm happy to say that, in all the businesses that we operate in, we are able to supply to the electric vehicle. So that's what's kept us going. We want to be a company that will supply to electric vehicle as well as ICE, and therefore we're what I call EV compliant. And that's what companies or really investors look for when you're looking at companies like ourselves. So I think it was very relevant for us to expand our business, not just in terms of process and product, but also in terms of customer base, and we've been able to do that. The other thing that we continuously do, and I mentioned that earlier, is we need to continuously add more products. So we keep looking at what next in terms of product, what can we and how can we increase market share with our customers, and how can we work closely with our customers to provide them the solution that the end customer is looking for. And that's the way we've been building our business, and we continue to build the business.
Absolutely. Well, final question then on not your business, but on Polo, which is another passion of yours. What's the current status of Polo in India? Do you believe there is a lot of scope for this sport as well to flourish and grow in India further? And how challenging has the pandemic been for the Polo scene in India as well?
So, from the polo scene, the challenge has really been two. One is spectators, and the second thing is sponsorship, which is always, required in sport to really sort of flourish. However, I must say, we've had several teams participate, and I feel that, whilst we've talked about the pandemic and we've all talked about the gloom and doom, things have not really negatively impacted industry, growth opportunities, and the spirit of people. And that's really what's kept us going. So, we've had good turnout in terms of teams in Polo. This year, we've continued to have all our tournaments with, of course, the right social distancing measures in place, with the right standard operating procedures in place. And therefore, there have been hardly any spectators because, we need to be careful of that. The rules of Polo have changed so that there's less contact, face-to-face contact, so that, there is less chance of spreading the virus. So, but it's been a good season. We're happy with it.
Okay. Well, wish you all the very best, and your group, of course, all the very best. Sunjay Kapur, thank you so much for joining us today on NewsX, and take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.